to another discussion with Dena. AOC's office advises migrants on how to avoid deportation in a live webinar. Is it so? Is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez teaching illegal immigrants how to evade ICE in her district? Is she breaking the law? Where's the line drawn? Is there a line drawn between teaching and evading? Is she impeding law enforcement? I think that's a felony. Is she educating everybody on their constitutional rights? Or is she teaching them how to evade law enforcement? I think that's a good question. Now, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is a Democratic New York representative. She recently hosted a live webinar on advising illegals in her district about their rights if they should find themselves face to face with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, if they have agents that intend to deport them. She has developed the Know Your Rights with ICE virtual event, and it was broadcast live on her Facebook page. It was a 54-minute live stream aimed at illegals or migrants or immigrants living in Ocasio-Cortez's 14th district, which happens to cover part of Queens as well as the Bronx. Now, her viewers, illegal immigrants or migrants, were informed of how to deal with ICE in their search requests if said officers should show up at their homes or at their places of employment. Now, in the webinar, illegal immigrants were also warned of possible scenarios that could happen that ICE agents may try to employ to convince them to comply with searches. The host also is said to have emphasized their inclinations or just how ICE conducts its pursuits, which have, as promised under the Trump administration, been greatly ramped up since his taking office. Now, Ocasio-Cortez did not take part in the webinar herself, but she did upload tips to Instagrams via posters in both English and in Spanish, and is said to have called on her followers to share the posters widely with others and to study it. Now, Ocasio-Cortez wrote that our strategic advantage in this moment is our strength in numbers. It is time to use it. In nearly every way, we outnumber those who want to abuse their power and keep people in fear. The truth is, they cannot come after us all. That is why they actively use and create fear to get us to give up in advance and withdraw from public life without them lifting a finger. She further called on them to print out the posters and tape them up in their workplace and keep them by their doors. So if ICE comes to their workplace or to their home, whether you are a citizen or non-citizen, you can defend your community and our Constitution by exercising this right. This is what Cortez wrote. Now, during the webinar, there were various hosts, and one of the hosts told viewers that the Fourth Amendment, which provides protection from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government, applies to everyone, and that include illegal immigrants or migrants, which still makes no sense at all to me. How do you come to a country? You break in the law to begin with. You come here illegally, yet you are given or maintain what is given to someone with legal status, the entitlements that you get for being a citizen of a specific country. While you have entered illegally, you have already broke the law. So while you're in this country, you are not allowed to be arrested without certain procedures happening. Although others can be detained and punished, and they're legal citizens here. But if you break this law, you are automatically given certain rights and entitlements. It makes no sense at all. And then I'm still asking the question, is her intentions to help rid the country of these people who are said to be criminals doing criminal activities, or is she somehow trying to protect that group of people? I'm just not clear on that. Now, of course, there are some people that are here that, of course, they're not doing what the sad people they're supposed to be trying to deport at this time. But the way it is given and written, it leaves a lot of questioning within one's mind as to the purpose of this. But if the law has already been broken, why should you have those rights? You've already broken certain laws when entering the country. That leaves so many questions. How do you break the law and come into a country illegally and give birth? Then what you give birth to, the person you give birth to, is automatically a citizen. That really should be re-examined and specified, because it includes too many loopholes and it gives people incentives that encourage this particular activity to continue. People breaking the law to get over here to give birth on purpose with that intent. I have actually seen social media posts from those that are illegals who came over here and are bragging about they just gave birth and telling others to come and have a baby here so that they can get legal status. The gall. I mean, and to post it over social media, that should be a criminal offense right there. But it needs to be re-examined and changed or worded to reflect the time. And there must be consequences for those that are encouraging and teaching others how they can evade the system. The loopholes are there, and if they wanted to fix them, I'm pretty sure they could. But I have seen some of those videos, and I myself wasn't pleased with it because it just seemed so unfair. Some of the entitlements that people who have broken the law in this particular situation are given. Now, again, in the webinar, that was information on the difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative warrant, saying that only a judicial warrant gives ICE authority to initiate a search. So they even went further to say to viewers that ICE rarely carries a judicial warrant, which means ICE agents need consent before they can enter into your home. And then it was noted by the host on this particular webinar that ICE is known to use tricks or forms of intimidation to try to get people into doing or saying things that can interpret or have them thinking that they should consent. It's a trick, in other words. So they said it was a general rule here, which is in private spaces, ICE is going to need a warrant signed by a judge or your consent to enter their spaces to do a search. When we're talking about public spaces, ICE will need reasonable suspicion in order to make an arrest. This is what was said by another speaker who identified herself as Laura. Now, since they don't have a warrant, they need to get your consent in order to enter. Either way, they're saying to not let them deceive you into thinking that they're not ICE officers. They were saying that they will lie and be very deceptive and intimidating. This was a part of the webinar. Now, the host further recommended that people document their interactions with ICE on video and by taking notes, saying that the information could be useful to local immigrant groups or friends and family. Now, after hearing of this webinar, Tom Holmes, the border czar, was recently asked about what it is that Cortez has been doing. And this is his response.
Oh, it's absolutely not going to stop us. I mean, it makes our job more difficult, makes the job more dangerous. I mean, the numbers that you said, we're more than twice the numbers as Joe Biden had a year ago from today, and the vast majority being public safety threats. But am I happy? No, I want more, because we had last count we had over 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions walking the streets of this country. So we got a lot of them fined. But sanctuary city makes it difficult. What's most concerning though, it makes it more dangerous. When we can arrest a bad guy in a county jail. If one officer arrests one guy in a safety and security county jail or a state prison. But when these sanctuary cities release a public safety threat back into the public, which on its face is just ridiculous, it's more dangerous for the ICE officers to make that arrest. It's more dangerous for the alien, and it's certainly more dangerous for the communities. Releasing a public safety threat back in the community is just dumb. And it puts the communities at great risk of more crime. So we want to work with sanctuary cities and get into the jail. Give us access to the guy that you locked in a jail cell. That's who we want to talk to.
Well, I mean, look, you've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing webinars to explain to illegal immigrants how to evade ICE arrests. And then she tweeted out after something you said maybe she's going to be in trouble now. And she says maybe he can learn to read the Constitution would be a good place to start. She's continuing her resist efforts against your efforts, Tom.
Look, I forgot more about the Constitution, immigration enforcement as you ever know. I mean, I had to educate her during congressional testimony that entering the country illegally is a crime. So, whatever. But what she needs to do is read the statutes enacted by Congress. Title 8, United States Code 1324, United States. Title 8, United States Code 1324 and 25. That's what she needs to read. Because it's illegal in this country. It's a crime to enter this country illegally. Not only that, when you harbor and conceal and impede law enforcement, that's a felony. So what she's doing, she says she's educating them as their constitutional rights, and we all know they got constitutional rights. But what she's really doing, you and I and the rest of the country knows, she's trying to teach them how to evade law enforcement. Now I just said, well, out of the gate, we're concentrating on public safety threats, national security threats. So she's educating those in the country illegally with a significant criminal conviction, public safety threat. Don't open your door. Don't talk to ICE. Here's how you invade law enforcement. Let's hope she's not educating the next person who gets out and murders a young college student in Georgia. I mean, these are bad people we're looking for. So she can call it education all she wants, but we all know it's about evading law enforcement. These people have been ordered removed. The people we're looking for now have final orders. They're criminals. They're in the country illegally. A judge has ordered them removed. They become a fugitive. And these are the folks she's helping? So I've asked the Department of Justice to look at this. Where is the line on impediment? Where does that fine line so we can instruct ICE officers what they can do when people don't open the doors or try to evade their arrest? So I simply asked DOJ, give me a legal opinion, because every Department of Justice will interpret things differently. What's the legal opinion on impediment? And we'll see what happens. But the drug cartels are like a Fortune 500 company. Some of these drug cartels, like Jalisco Cartel, they're operating in 43 nations, 43 different countries around the globe. They used to be, back in my day when I was an agent, they were responsible for smuggling drugs into the United States and to our major cities, and it'd be just distributed by local gangs. Now they have a footprint in every major city in this nation. They have taken over the distribution channels within the United States. They have a strong foothold here, and that's why we're concentrating. We're concentrating on drug cartels. We're concentrating on TDA, Trinidad. I'm not going to be happy to every single one of Trinidad out of this country. They need to be eradicated along with MS-13. But this way, President Trump, again, he proves every day why he's the greatest president of my lifetime. He designated them terrorist organizations. Why did he do that? Because they've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. They've killed thousands of journalists and law enforcement in Mexico. They've killed thousands of citizens. They're acting like a terrorist organization. They've killed more Americans than any terrorist organization. So President Trump did the right thing. Designated a terrorist organization. Will bring the weight of the world on. President Trump will wipe them off the face of the earth by the time he's done.
Here are some of the tips that were given in the webinar.
ICE agents will go to homes early in the morning to make arrests. They'll stop people on the street or in public places, which could include a public area of a workplace.
They either want to deceive you into thinking that they're not ICE, or they lie so that you come to believe that they do have a right to enter.
So if you're stopped on the street by an officer, you don't know if it's ICE, you don't know if it's your local police, the first thing you have the right to do is to ask, am I free to go? Am I being detained? And if the answer is yes, then you can leave.
Meanwhile,
But tell that to
as we speak, in Alexandria Ocasio-Cartez district, there are still yet shelters that were built and are currently opening to house migrants or illegal immigrants. One such shelter just opened to house male immigrants. It's open, and some of her constituents are not pleased with it, nor are they pleased with one that already exists that was open to house females. So let's listen to one of her constituents speak on that.
You know, it's one thing to give people advice on how to evade the law, is essentially what she's doing. But it's another thing to do that and then not show up to the webinar that you're supposedly, all about. To AOC, I would say, talk to your constituents, because I've been through these neighborhoods. I've walked around even the area where this migrant shelter is supposed to be. Nobody wants it there, and we had 2 protests, 1 demonstration, and the more we have these things, the more people show up. And I think that should be a good indicator to how people feel about it.
So now, Board Czar, Holman, and Democratic Congresswoman Cortez have continued their war of words regarding the subject of whether or not she is actually educating or teaching the criminal elements of the illegal immigrants how to evade.
Look, she's the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to Congress, and she proves it every day. And look, bottom line is, I can't believe any member of Congress, Republican, Democrat, Independent, would want to educate criminal illegal aliens who are in the country illegally, been convicted of a violent crime, and have been ordered removed by an immigration judge after due process at great taxpayer expense. You got a congressman or congresswoman that does not want ICE to do the job that Congress has mandated them to do and funds them to do.
Cortez responded to Tom Homan's comment on X, and this is what she wrote. This is why you fight these cowards. The moment you stand up to them, they crumble. Holman has nothing. The 4th Amendment is clear, and I am well within my duties to educate people of their rights. He can threaten me with jail and call names all he wants. He's got nothing else. Now, I would like to know, what do you think about this particular matter? Subscribe if you have not, and leave me your comments on this topic. Do you think she is assisting with helping them to learn how to evade? And is there a criminal element here that she may very well be protecting in the process? What do you think about this? Subscribe and leave me your comments, and join me next time for another discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes your daily discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.